When you listen to the nightly news, there is no lack of problems in our world, whether it's war and terrorism, social injustice, economic problems. There's always problems that we need to address, and yet solutions that could, regulate this and finally end these problems in the long term are completely lacking. But there are solutions to these problems, and they are very simple, and they are right in front of our face. The problem is that we have a false identity. Humanity has a false identity, and most people honestly have a false identity. Now, first of all, the root of this false identity comes from the historical notion that we are somehow special or chosen or better than other creatures that exist on this planet. This idea actually comes from the Bible, from Genesis, where God creates humanity separate from the earth. And there's actually a passage in Genesis, which is then mirrored in the Quran, which says that the earth and all of the living beings that are on it are for humanity to exploit. Now, this is absolutely crazy, but this is what has created the foundation of our society. We simply are not special. And you can't blame our ancestors for believing this. They had no choice but to understand the world by planting their feet on the ground, looking up towards the heavens, looking at all those stars and trying to figure out who they were and where they were. But we, since 1968, since the publication of the Earthrise picture, we have actually had the opportunity to see ourselves from the outside looking in, from space looking at Earth. And what do we see when we look at that picture? Unity. We see one entity. Humans and cows and grass and water and land are all one package that is called the Earth. We are not separate from it. Or, in other words, what Earthrise has revealed to us is that we are not special. Now, when you ask somebody who are they, like what is their identity, usually they'll come up with an answer that's, similar to this. So they'll give you their name, say like John Stevenson. Then they'll tell you that they're American. So that's their nation. They'll tell you that they are 32 years old. So that's their age. They'll tell you that they're middle class, they're social class. They are fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Dallas Cowboys, so that's their sports team. And trust me, this is important in a lot of cultures. They'll tell you about their education. They'll tell you about the language that they speak. Oh, I'm English, I'm French, and this creates their identity. They'll tell you that they are males or female. They'll tell you that they're homosexuals, or that they're straight, or they're bi, so their sexual orientation. They'll tell you that they're white or they're black. All of these tribal groups that we associate our identity to, first of all, are completely created. They are the creations of our mind. All of these groups actually have no value whatsoever unless we believe that they have value. And in our world, we separate ourselves between humans based on these groups because we attribute value to these groups. Now, if you've seen any other of my videos, I've gone over the fact that nations are creations of the mind, that race is a creation of the mind, and I will keep going and showing you systematically that all of these tribal groups are fake. They are creations of the mind, and if we do not associate any importance to them, they will cease to be relevant in our world. So, if these tribal groups that we base our identity on are all fake, then what should we base our identity on? Well, there are three core beliefs that we should base our entire understanding of ourself and the world upon, because these three things have been true since the dawn of humanity and will remain equally as true for every human being in the world until our species goes extinct. Number one, we are all equal members of humanity. So, and I love this quote by Ronald Reagan. He said something to the United Nations to the effect of, if an alien race were to attack humanity, all of our differences would vanish instantaneously because we'd be facing a greater threat, a greater foe, and we would have to unite together. And that is reality. When you look at the Earth from space, you see a unit where all humans are equal. The second part is that the Earth is our sustainer, and that without the Earth, we are finito. I mean, perhaps in the future we will discover other Earths that we could migrate to, but right now, without the Earth, we have absolutely nothing. And why is that important? Well, the third pillar of our identity is that our afterlife, the life after us, is the lives of our children. I mean, the survival of our species, it's why we exist. If you look at single-celled organisms, you have to conclude that the only purpose to their life is to continue living. Well, we are more complex than them, but our purpose remains the same. The toxic effects of false identity can be seen throughout history. We fight wars against each other, we kill each other, we discriminate against each other, we destroy the earth because, as I said, the Bible tells us that God gave us the earth and it's ours to exploit. Even gender roles come from the Adam and Eve story, which, is the fakest story you have ever heard in your life. It contradicts itself within the first 3 chapters of Genesis. Read it, and it's contradictory to the creation of the world in 7 days story, but we believe this, and we have founded our entire society on this BS. With right identity, we can finally focus on what matters. We can focus on preserving the earth, on ensuring that future generations, that our children, our beloved children, will have a great life with clean water, fresh air, smiles, happiness, a house, contentment. It is our false identity that is creating all of the problems in our world. If we can just wake up, snap out of it, and realize that no one is better than anyone else, we are all the same, we need the earth, and we need to get together to fight for the survival of our children, my God, the world will be such a better place.